Welcome to Property Sisters Podcast. I am Shay Noonan. I'm a realtor here in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona.
Sadie Risley, Business Development Manager at Chicago Title. This is a place for real estate professionals to evolve,
find success, and grow their businesses.
Welcome, Property Sisters Podcast.
Here we go, first ever. I am Shay Noonan. I'm a realtor. I am a team lead. I am with Real Broker. Just made the change this week. It was a big week for me, and we're excited to finally roll this out. I think this has been on my business plan for 3 years.
We talked about this a year ago when I started helping you. By the way, I'm Sadie Risley. I'm with Chicago Title, Business Development Manager. I help agents market and grow and plan their business. So this feels like a perfect fit. We're sisters. We've talked about this for a bit. I think that we both, it's in our genetics. We're creative. We like to talk.
And we want to empower entrepreneurs, specifically realtors. Obviously, that's both of our lanes that we're in, hence the Property Sisters. But this podcast, we truly have a little something for everybody. And we promise, whether any type of business that you're in, we promise that you will get value out of it. And this episode, we're going to dive into showing up.
In 2023, make those resolutions a reality, what you can be doing to better yourself, your business, and your community.
Yeah. And without habits, you're not going to hit your goals. So that's what we're going to break down today, is kind of the how-to of how to get there and how to get started. We're already a third of the way into January, which is actually really crazy. It was dry January for me, but we're doing a little thimble of rosé here. So.
Liquid courage for your first episode.
And yeah, Happy New Year. And we are headed into 2023 with lots of talk about the market, recession, doomsday stuff. Some people think that this is just, we're headed downward, and we're just not going to get into that, though.
No, well, I feel like that's why we're even doing this, is because, okay, let that be the talk, but let's keep moving. Let's get creative. Let's take advantage of things being a little different right now and have this be a chance to show up.
Yeah.
So.
And that it does, recession, whether you think we're in one or we're headed towards one, it does affect how you hit your goals that you've set for your business. And I think there's no question that standing out in your business this year is going to make or break your business. And it is recession proof, making sure you are different than the rest.
Yes. What you can do to ensure that you stand out this year, like we said, and show up. So we're breaking this down over the course of 3 episodes, starting today with authenticity, which is something I'm really passionate about and say a lot when it comes to my business motto, when I'm meeting with agents. Authenticity and figuring out who you are and bringing that to the table in your business is key. If you don't know who you are, how are you going to show up for others, for each other on your team, even for your family? So really big about that.
And I think too, you can't put the rest of gears in motion until you find your purpose and your authenticity. And I think that's why it's so important. And it even comes down to, first and foremost, when we were starting this podcast, we sat down and we thought, okay, where are we going with this? What's our purpose with it? What do we want to accomplish? That was step one. Before we could do a single piece of content, we had to start there.
We also said, though, who are we? What do we bring to the table? What is my business? Because my business is different than your business. So what do I do? What is my meaning behind it? And what's yours? And then who are we as people? Yes, we know each other pretty through and through as sisters, but there's levels to that where we have to be pretty clear on who we are in order to work well together for you, even as my client. Yeah. So Shay is an agent who is my client at Chicago Title. So it's my job to be getting with her and helping her see past her own limits and hearing kind of what she struggles with, hearing what any of my agents struggle with and how they want to grow. And how can I encourage you to be better? I can't show up and do that if I'm not already doing that for myself. Mm-hmm. You can't do that for your clients if you're not doing it for yourself.
Yeah, that's, your energy is the first thing that you bring to the table in your business. It's your first line of defense. It's the first thing a client sees. It's the first thing a client hears. And it's incredibly important, I think, to get that in check first and foremost.
Yes. Can I ask you, what are some things that you think you do or that you want to do better, or that I should rephrase that. What are some things that you do or that you want to do to make sure that you're being authentic with yourself?
With myself or with my clients?
Starts with yourself.
Yeah. I think constant reflection is a personal thing for me. Mm-hmm. Like, where have I been? What have I done? How am I showing up? Is that what I want? And just constantly knowing that I'm not good enough. I'm sorry if that's not like empowering for people to say, but you're never good enough. There's always room to grow. And you should be. You should never be in the same place today that you were a year ago when you look back, right? So for me, that's a big one. For my clients, I think it's honesty and making sure that the most important thing is that I'm showing up for them in an honest way and that they know that they can trust me.
Yeah.
Is my personal, again, I'm not sure I would say that that's what I've set for myself as my purpose, but it's very important.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's huge. The whole selling sunset vibe in real estate, just this idea that real estate agents, or that we all are in this industry and we live in luxury and we have to show up and all of our designer gear and just play a part, is false. Honesty is huge. Being authentic with who you are. So sharing with your clients, here's my goal for you. Here's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable is huge.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that's a huge thing. And now, mind you, I don't think that you can show up scrubbed up, or you shouldn't be showing up on Instagram in your pajamas every day. I think there is a balance with that. But at the end of the day, yeah, you also don't have to play the TV realtor role. I think it's incredibly inauthentic. So,
and I think being here in Scottsdale, that was a big part of real estate. And we're phasing out of that. So those of you that are agents who are being true to you and not tapping into that, you're going to stand out.
Yeah. And also going back to the energy thing, the same energy that you are selling when you sell yourself as someone, is what you sell as, scratch that. So the energy is the same energy that you are selling when you sell yourself. And at the end of the day, you have to sell yourself before you sell houses, or before you close loans, or before you get any client in the door. That is ultimately what you are selling first. You're the first product. And I think that's incredibly important to understand. And Susie Holman is a motivational speaker, and I love her. And her tagline that she uses is "Vibes don't lie." And I think that is so good. So if you're listening out there, Susie, that one's for you. But I think that really, that's a really powerful statement. So definitely have your energy, in check, because on the flip side, self-conscious, easily offended, low energy, just out there selfishly for the paycheck shows to the client.
Yeah. And that's something I personally had to work on, being easily offended. I think I've spent the last 10 years, truthfully, self-reflecting and really trying to realize that feedback is what helps us grow. And so getting that little, even if someone doesn't deliver it right, who cares? We all have a bad day. I don't deliver things right. I think being unoffendable is something that is really strong and powerful. And not only that, you forgive yourself, but you forgive others when you live by that.
And I think it's something you're probably never going to be perfect at.
No.
And real estate does seem to be an industry where it's easy to get offended. It's easy to get offended if somebody doesn't use you and they use somebody else, right? Classic. So that's something I think we all could just work on and be better at. And I still get it. I still get the dagger in the heart when it comes to certain situations. So I don't want to sit here and say that I'm perfect with it, but I think it's something we could all do better at. And I think what will make or break you is what you do after. So when it happens, it hurts, that's fine. But how do you pick yourself up and keep going and keep that confidence in yourself and in your business?
Yes.
And not letting it throw you in a tailspin. And so I think working internally so you can show up authentically in a positive way if you aren't being self-aware, you can't be real in your business. And why should someone work with you? What is that? What's your why? Why should somebody say, I'm going to work with you over somebody else?
Yeah. Right now, guys, I want to encourage you, write down your why, your purpose, how you want to convey that to your ideal client, who you are. What's your energy level? What are you educated in?
I think too, finding if you start with your purpose, do you mind sharing your purpose?
Not at all. My purpose, and I put this wholeheartedly in my business, is to encourage others to show up imperfect, to hone in on your imperfections and be okay with that. And this goes hand in hand with being able to be wrong or kind of unoffendable. You can be wrong and still be confident in that and kind of like, oh crap, okay, I was wrong. Thank you for letting me know. Throughout the course of this podcast, Shay, when we have to start talking business and stuff, thanks for letting me know that I didn't show up in that great way, or I said this, or I did that. Could have been better with this. I think that's authenticity whole and whole. And that's why we're touching on this. Mm-hmm. Be able to show up imperfect. And I want to be able to create space and encourage other agents to be able to show up imperfectly, but still show that you can be successful.
Yeah. Because I think, and ironically, we weren't going to start with authenticity. We were going to start with consistency. So the three things that we think, we probably should have said this earlier versus at the end, but the three things that we think are incredibly important are authenticity, consistency, and collaboration. And we were going to start with consistency. And the more we got into chatting about it, we realized you really can't show up consistently until you hit the authentic piece of who you are and your business, why you do what you do, and what your purpose is. Because you can't get to what should you be doing consistently if you don't know who you are to begin with.
Yeah, right. Where to start. With that being said, it's always a work in progress. I think a huge thing is pivoting. So, right, we figure ourselves out, we get a game plan going, we're being consistent with it, and then I discover, I think I've mastered this, I'm ready for something more. Or, this isn't really working for me. Mm-hmm. Okay, feel free to re-dive into, why did you think that was authentic for you? What part of you was speaking, and now that you've realized that, can you go a little deeper? And now maybe tap in and find out who you are, what your purpose is. Always be willing to pivot or go deeper. Sometimes, I think even with the podcast, we thought about it. And I always had this thing in the back of my mind that I can't do a podcast. So I have asthma. This is really funny, but speaking sometimes can be really difficult for me. I take these deep breaths, and it was something that I was always worried. With my asthma, I can't speak. I can't do public speaking. I can't be on a podcast. And I'm doing it. And I'm doing a lot of public speaking right now with my job. And it's something that I had to work through and overcome that fear to show myself I could do it. And I'm sure there's going to be more layers of things that I've brushed off that are actually my calling.
Yeah. And in my situation, I've had this literally on my list of goals for at least 2, maybe 3 years. And so looking back though, had I done that at those times, you and I wouldn't be sitting here together.
Right.
And I think it's okay if you've got something as a goal and you don't hit it in 2023 because maybe the timing just wasn't right. So I think to keep in mind when it comes to goal planning, business planning in 2023, just know you're not going to hit every goal, and that's okay. Again,
or you hit one and then you realize you don't even care. Why did I care about that? This actually isn't fulfilling. Yeah. Okay, do a little research. Was that your ego speaking that made you think this is what you really wanted, so you went for it and you realized you didn't? It's not a failure. You found out something more about yourself. Yeah. And that builds that authenticity. So I guess the point is, and the reminder is that it's going to shift, and please feel free to shift with it. It's something I think when I look back each month over the last 3 years in my business, I'm like, okay, I'm going through a lot of change and I'm being pushed to try a lot of new things. And when I reflect on that, I gave that my all for a month, and now I'm planning my next month. I don't want to incorporate that. That was great for the time being, but I'm moving on and I'm using that experience for something else. It's always a journey.
And I think with that too, your purpose can change. So what your purpose was 2 years ago, you have a child, you get married, you have kids, your purpose is going to shift. I would bet without a shadow of a doubt at that moment into I want to provide for my family. Maybe I want more time for my family. I mean, your purpose and your priorities are going to shift. That's why I think it's important to keep them in check every single year. So as you're going to do the goals, go, what's my purpose? Is it the same? If it is, great. If it's not, you need to write that down and you need to be aware of it.
Yeah. I actually want to touch on Shay. So a year ago, Shay really wasn't into social media. She was like, I'm never going to make a video. I'm never going to do a reel.
Never
going to do those trendy videos all these realtors are doing.
I'm not going to dance on Instagram. These people are on drugs.
So I started helping with her social media. And I think I'm like 3-4 months in. And Shay's all of a sudden calling me multiple times a day with ideas. And I'm kind of like, oh, dang. She's got this down better than me. Okay. Given it was her giving me an opportunity to work and get creative and dive into the real estate industry more. So yes, she very much so could have taken her social media back when she wanted to, which was about 2 to 3 months in. But she let me keep playing with it and her passion continued to grow. So as your sister and from the outside looking in of the person working on your project for you and doing your social media, which is expressing her for her, that's tough. They know themselves better than anybody. They being you agents. And I think it was probably May. So this was February, March, April, May. 4 months in is when she really starts filming stuff on her own and getting in front of the camera and doing videos. And I just recently had somebody, and this is a compliment for you, who went back and looked through your Instagram and was like, whoa, it was really a year ago that she started getting into this and now she's a pro. Point being, it was really cool to be on the outside watching Shay slowly discover her passion. And then I think it wasn't until August where she finally admitted, I'm really into this. I want to do this. I want to pursue this more. And I'm sure in the beginning you felt like...
Yeah, I didn't, and I can say I went into 2022 not knowing what my purpose was. So I definitely, that was a huge game changer for me when I sat back and saw it written out. And I did an exercise. There's a lot of ways you can get there to find what it is. But I did an exercise with Elizabeth Faye. I think it's Elizabeth Faye, Faye. Yeah. Spell her last name.
Yes.
And she was incredible. And it was written out in front of me. She takes you through this sequence and helps you find your purpose. And I was like, whoa. And at that moment, I was able to go, okay, now I can see where I'm aligned in my business. What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? And what do I need to delegate? Mm-hmm. And that is a incredible path to be on. And anytime you're questioning a big decision, you can go back to that purpose. Does this fit my purpose? Does this fit what I want for my business? And does it align? If it doesn't, it's probably not the right thing, right? Unless your purpose has changed, right? So again, that's why this is so important to sit down and really think about it and put yourself to the test. What am I trying to accomplish? And I don't think making money, that's not a purpose, folks.
That's what we all want to do.
Who doesn't want to make money? That is not a purpose. That is not your end. If that is your true purpose and your true end game, I would beg to say you're probably going to fail because you're not going to have the authenticity behind it. Yeah. Like that's not a purpose. If you write that down or you did write that down, please, for the love, scratch it off and start over. Do you want to make money for your family? That's a purpose. I want to provide for my family. I want to care. I want to give the same care that I give my family to my clients.
Let that be your driving force.
Yes.
But don't make that what you're going into a meeting with a client.
In the back of your head thinking, I want to make money.
You got to bring more to the table than that.
Yes. So that's not a purpose. My purpose is helping people find success. And that's helping people find success in the sale of their home or in the purchase of a home or in your business. Hence why I'm so excited to roll this podcast out. Yes. There's so many different ways, but that is where I truly, that's my purpose. That's where I'm at right now. That could change for sure. But right now that is
where we're at.
And it's where, yeah.
And I think with our career history and our experience, I'll speak for myself. I've been in home inspections. I've been in title, escrow side of things. Now I'm in business development and sales. I've done social media and marketing for agents. kind of done a little bit of it all. And I think we have a really interesting background, even just with our family starting to do business together. My significant other is on Shay's real estate team. Our dad was in real estate. And I think it's really special to see us coming together with all of this. And I'm really excited for our experience to really showcase itself, because we sit around and we go back and forth and we talk. And I think there's something powerful to collaborating with somebody. And that's obviously one thing that we're going to hit on in the next 2 episodes. Sure. Taking your experience and collaborating with somebody, it gets new ideas and juices flowing. And so I'm really pumped for this podcast. I'm excited for what we're going to bring to the table for you guys. We're going to have guest speakers on here. We want to be giving you a broad scale of the industry and the professionals in it and their take on things, because we're just one of 2 opinions coming together to share with you guys. But there's others out there who think a little bit differently than us, and we want to learn from them too.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in to this episode, our inaugural episode.
I hope we look back in a year and are like, what were we doing?
January 11th. That's the day we're filming this. That's not necessarily the date you're going to listen to this. But we appreciate you tuning in if you're there. And the next episode, we're going to talk about consistency and putting that into place. So make sure you spend some time discovering your purpose, figuring out what your energy is that you're bringing to the table, because you're going to need that when we move on to the consistency discussion.
Yes. Feel free to tag us in what you wrote down, share it on social media, hold yourself accountable. And also by doing that, you're going to show your clients that you're real, that you're authentic, Absolutely. And that you're working towards something. So we want to see that. Like and subscribe to this. Thanks for tuning in.